Hi everyone. I've spent some time putting together a slideshow of your user stories, your conversion paths, your sitemaps, and your wireframes so that I could give some feedback and give you an opportunity to look at each other's work. I'm going to show you a link that you can use to actually go and look at this slideshow directly. I know you're focusing very much on your coding right now, and I'm not expecting anybody to go and redo this work. Enjoy the presentation. Hello everyone. I'd like to go through quickly the sitemaps and wireframes that were refinished and made available on Wednesday, just to give you guys all a sense of whatever my thoughts are and an opportunity to see each other's work. So let's take a look. I'm going to begin everyone with a cover page that shows the user story on the left and the conversion path on the right, and I would encourage you to pause and read these things so that you know what's going on rather than just listen to me, because I'm not reading them aloud. So this sitemap is a good example of how using a great tool like Creately or something else can really add a lot of value. Carlton's using these little arrows to indicate that you're going off-site to something else. He's got color coding, and I like the way that on the left-hand side you'll see that where there's multiple kinds of pages of the same type, you see that kind of stacked look there. Not exactly sure how the conversion path works with those dotted blue lines and why it says sitemap on the bottom, but those would be fairly easy things for him to fix. This is his wireframe, and as you can see, very easy to parse what's going on, see what images are required, see white space, which is very helpful. And the way he's got buttons positioned within the masthead is a very nice technique. Also the bottom where you see a Google map shows you that location is very important for this group. Really easy to see the menu items down there. So this is an example of really best practices. Here's Melissa's version. Carlton and Melissa collaborate a lot, so it's hard to know like who came up with what when you look at the things together. Again, you might want to pause and read this. She has two different user stories, and so she dealt with two different paths. This is the second. Again, you might want to pause and read. Here is her sitemap. It's a little more difficult to read than Carlton's because of the way that she's used color. The conversion path extends below the screen to the other side, but you can kind of see how it works. She's got these dotted lines around those darkened pages, which indicate that that they're really important within the conversion path, I think. Her wireframe is showing color. Some people used color just to show different sections on the wireframe, but the color didn't actually mean anything, and in a way made things look a little busier than they otherwise would be. My guess is from this version of color that she's actually trying to show us the colors that she would use on the website and that they're related to the colors of the logo. Which is fine. That's you can go into more or less of a designy level in your wireframes depending on what you've been given and where you want to go from there. Two things that I would caution against: having your text centered it's not a very fancy looking practice. Headings can be centered, but body text probably should not be centered. And it's good to learn how to make transparent images so you don't see the white boxes around them. Also, this is a page for an actual event. It would not be considered a landing page because unless it was something like the Green River Festival, people don't go and create links to events. They create links to calendars, and you want to really focus on the layout of the landing page more than the focus on the layout of an individual type of content. So I would be interested to see what she came up with a wireframe for her calendars page or for some other landing page that was linked to from outside. That's really the distinction. A landing page is something that you land on first. Okay, here's Todd's. Todd's doing great work, and I want you to pause and read what this is. And this is the first of four that are about Greenfield Digital, which is the relaunch of Beyond the Box. There's a lot of background to this, which is in a guidance document that I shared with everybody. The basic concept here is that the next time we run this class, we're going to use Greenfield Digital as the website that businesses find to decide whether they want to submit their websites to be worked on for a free website clinic that the students of the next time we run this course would be doing. There isn't a guarantee that the students would finish by the end of the semester, So at that point, businesses would either have to hire individual students at whatever rates those students want to be paid, or bring this to another web firm, probably something local like Yes Exactly, to finish the work. So that's the business model, you could say, for Greenfield Digital. And what you're going to see is, as we go through this, some people have caught different parts of it, and some people are still thinking pricing model drives everything. That's really no longer true. It's not pricing that drives, it's free clinic with expert advice supporting students and then moving on to finishing it in another way. So sitemap, incredibly clear and easy to see, and a feature on the idea of looking at designs as a way of showing why you'd want to have a website. I think pages about the clinic model are very important for this, and so I would have wanted to see a section on that, and featuring prices is probably not the way we'd want to go. Here's the wireframe. So you'll see that these buttons are really sticking out. They look like computer keys, and I'm not sure if that's intended, that this is meant to look like a computer keyboard as a design, or whether that's just the way he built it. He's got these 3 bucket areas, one for template pages, one for photo pages, and one for price pages. And so what he's trying to promote here is the design of individual pages, not the design of different kinds of sites, one for government, one for organizations, and one for business, which is how I would think we'd want to go. So people see sites that match what their business or their organization wants. Here's Megan's version of the user story and conversion path for game face web design. Megan mentions that they find this from Facebook rather than from a Google search, and that's very interesting to me. If our primary audience are local businesses and local organizations, maybe Facebook, which has a much more deeply built-in local network than Google, might be a good place to advertise, and maybe we want to make our own Facebook page. Now, I'm not clear what she means by opportunities on the right side. So this is Megan's sitemap. She's showing us the conversion path that she set out in different colors. Things are readable when you make them very, very large, but she used a vertical layout which doesn't actually group all of these blue pages as the level that they should be grouped. So this could use a little bit more work. Here's her wireframe. She's pretty much mapping out the wireframe as it looks on the original site. And I'm not sure what she means by place to post blogs. Okay, here's Tyler's. Tyler has a beautiful, clear user story. Here's Tyler's sitemap. This seems a little bit less clear. It looks a little bit more like an electronics diagram because we have these extra paths and lines that don't make sense to me. I don't think we need either the Bram home or the index home pages if we view this as the home page. In place of text scouts, we would want to learn about the students of the course because those are the people that are the people doing the work in this case. Here's Tyler's wireframe. Really easy, clear wireframe. Look at how, even though it's very complex and detailed, you can figure out what's going on. He's added an extra sidebar for the sub pages, meaning pages that would relate to the content on this page, whereas this is the main menu for all pages on the site. He's using callouts. Callouts are very good. They kind of, based on where you are, suggest something you might be interested in. And he's got a lovely little mock-up here of a carousel to go through different designs and then pop out to go to small descriptions. Okay, Smart Building Products. This is a high-performance HVAC company, and Corey's thought this through a great deal. It's a fairly simple sitemap right now. I have questions about what case studies mean, whether they're related to products, whether they're related to the company itself, and what an external case study might mean in that case. This is using the one-page website model where you scroll down through various things and then make a choice. That's a good model for a simple single product. It's not a good model for something as complex as HVAC. If you were looking at this on a cell phone, of course, that's what it would look like, but we want to design our wireframes for a desktop version, and we would never want to make a wireframe that looked like this unless it was for like buying one book or taking one particular class. This is very, very complex business, a lot of money involved, and it deserves a proper full website presentation with a proper wireframe. Okay, Michael's got a very interesting situation here. You have to read this. Coverage Inc. reviews scripts for people. If you want to submit your script for somebody to read, even if the price is low, you really have to figure out whether you trust that person. And trusting them has to do with what's the track record when they review other people's scripts and say those scripts are good. Do they actually end up getting picked up by representatives that go into producing movies or plays or TV shows or whatever. So qualifying this screen writing company is really, really important. And the path would have to show a path that goes through what do we do, how well do we do it, and then what do I want to have happen. His path kind of indicates that you're going straight into submitting, if this is his path, and that I think may be leaving out an important step. Here's the a mock-up of the homepage, and he's very clearly showing lots of testimonials, which are really important for people to know that they're happy customers. Plus, he has a video intro, which is a great idea to get him to trust the person who's doing the supervision of the company. You might want to actually use a more video-looking for-position-only box. I'm not sure what the changing pictures and ad links does for this site. What are they advertising? And if he's trying to make money by putting ads on the site and having people pay him to advertise things, that's not helping his business at all. So I would say eliminate any advertising from the site unless it's supporting directly the business that this site is here to do. Okay, sugar gliders. So this is really interesting. These are like marsupials. They're not rodents, and they're pretty dicey creatures to try to keep as pets. They're more like monkeys than hamsters. So should you own one? And there's a lot of question out there in the world about whether people should be taking these wild animals and having them as pets, and what the experience for the pet is like versus what the experience for the owner is like. And what happens when that experience doesn't match? What happens to those animals? So I'm interested to see how her website deals with that. Okay, very clear, clean sitemap. I'd like to see another section here about the sort of business ecosystem about sugar gliders. And then here's the page. These words say location on them, and I don't know if she meant to put that there, but the way I would interpret it is that we're going to be learning about different homes of people who've owned sugar gliders and getting case studies from them. If that's the case, then that makes sense. This would be a landing page about the community for sugar gliders rather than the home page. Okay, so this is Brianna's, and she's doing a auto repair and sales shop, but it's a particular focus on fleet vehicles and trucks. And so this particular path in is for people who are trying to get servicing on their vehicles. And the tricky part is, if I want to have somebody who services my vehicles, I need to know that they're going to be available if one of my trucks goes down, because I'm losing a lot of money and business when my truck goes down. How, if you have a small shop, can you guarantee that your business is going to be available when that happens? Here's your sitemap. This looks like it was done with Google Draw, because as you can see, these things aren't well aligned, and the lines had different thickness and all that. So it works. It's very easy to read, easy to see, but it doesn't have that same production quality that if you showed this to a client would impress them with your skills. Also, a lot of people would prefer to see larger fonts at the higher levels and smaller fonts at the lower levels. Here's her wireframe. Because everything is in the same color boxes, it kind of looks a little disjointed to me. I would rather see that regions are set aside. You've got your header region, you've got your nav bar. I'm assuming this is a title. And then I'm noticing that we have the information about fleet services, the images of fleet services, and then a download button in the middle. And that breaks the eye connecting between these two things. So really this should be here and that should be there. I don't know why there's a sitemap, because it's a fairly small site. Okay, Ashfield Local Goods. This is school fundraising where people buy coupons to get discounts for local goods and services. So you'll see that the catalog is very deeply featured. This could be a very complicated site because vendors have to be able to log in and update their entries. Maybe customers have to log in to be able to keep track of what things they've bought, or maybe it pops things to PayPal. I'm not exactly sure. Her wireframe is very colorful, and the colors help us parse it. If the actual web page were this colorful, people would run screaming. We've seen examples of grayscale wireframes that worked very well. We saw one example of a wireframe that was showing the color that actually would end up being the site. So be careful about your choice of colors. Make sure you know why you're using them and what's going on. The features of students and school activities indicates to me that this would be a landing page all about the school. It could be the home page too, if this really is more about the school than the products or the services. But who knows, maybe somebody's coming to the website because they want to get good deals for restaurants, or because they want to find products to give away as gifts during the holidays, that would indicate that I'd want 3 different landing pages, and the home page would have 3 buckets. So one of these would say our school, one would say Christmas gifts, and one would say discount local vendors or something like that. And you click on each one to get to the right landing page. Okay, this is Royce Franklin Amateur Radio. He parsed out 2 different conversion paths and user stories. One user is somebody who's interested in the technology of ham radio and wants to find a club to sort of build and share some electronics with. And then another, which is related to people who are looking to get classes so they can be licensed ham radio operators. And so even here we have 2 landing pages. The first one about the technical aspects of ham radio, which is attracting this person. And then once they've done that, they say, now what can a club do for me in terms of sharing and learning about the technical aspects? Very well thought out there. And this is the story about the person who wants licensing. Now this is a home page. It's not really a landing page about licensing classes. So I think we would want to actually create and design a page about the licensing classes. And that's all the work we have to show right now.